just got my court assignment. That's me at the PPA Las Vegas, about to go on for my first singles match in my first pro tournament. And I've played singles maybe 3 times in the last 6 months, and one of those times was yesterday. But I really made the most of those 3 days. In this video, we'll explain how I got into this position where I don't have that much time to practice, what a typical training session looked like, what my game plan was going into the tournament, and then at the end of it, we'll see how I did and what I learned. Basically, what I had to do was a crash course on singles, and this video puts together everything that I learned and everything that I know, and hopefully it helps some of you if you're into singles. Sometime last week, I realized I was completely unprepared for this tournament I signed up for. I had started drilling doubles with some really great singles players, and I realized a few things. 1, the people that are good at singles are really good at singles. 2, those people practice a lot of singles. And 3, there are a ton of them. Just a few weeks prior, I was drilling with Roscoe Bellamy, who made it to a final of an APP recently. And we made this silly little video about how much we love singles.
I never see anyone having an actual good time playing singles. How?
And I really can't say that I enjoy it. It feels like a completely different sport than doubles, which I do love. But coming from tennis, I was naturally pretty good at it. Soon after I picked up my first pickleball paddle, I signed up for a tournament, played 4-5 in singles, and got bronze, losing to another player who had just picked up a pickleball paddle but was a better tennis player than me. And immediately after that tournament, I basically stopped playing singles and wanted to focus on doubles instead. So yeah, it hasn't been a priority for me to get good at singles, but I couldn't play men's doubles in this tournament, so I thought, might as well play singles. And now there's only a week before the tournament, and I'm comically unprepared. So the first thing I had to figure out is how to drill. I actually remembered that after the tournament, I did take one singular lesson from Gabe Joseph, because then I just never did. And he showed me a few drills. There's this one where you have one person serving the entire time, and you play rally scoring to 11, which was really good because you get to groove hitting a serve or a return and just playing that role for multiple points straight, rather than having to side out over and over again and maybe never getting a rhythm. Then there was this other one where you play cat and mouse and you drop the ball off the let cord, and the only rule is you can't hit the ball outside of the kitchen. So this sort of simulates when both players are at the kitchen and trying to win the point. There are some other ones you can do, but those were kind of the 2 main ones, because the first one gets you the first 4 shots, and then the cat and mouse gets you any scenario where you end up in a cat and mouse. And I really didn't have time, so I wanted to focus as much as I possibly could on the most essential things. So that meant to me the first, second, third, and fourth shot, the serve, the return, the pass or drop, and then the volley. In the return, I just knew it had to be deep, and you typically want to target your opponent's weaker side. On the third, I think you just need to hit a good third, whether that's a passing shot or a drop. The pass is basically you're trying to prevent your opponent from sticking a winner for the volley or hitting a winner drop shot. And then on the fourth, you want to prevent your opponent from hitting some awesome passing shot on the fifth or getting up to the kitchen. One thing I did notice is that on the return, Ben Johns tends to hit it down the line, which makes sense to me because it cuts off that cross-court angle and takes away time from your opponent, so maybe I'd try that. And otherwise, people tend to go to the middle because there are fewer angles there. If you ever do find yourself in cat and mouse, it seems like you're supposed to keep it down the line until you see an opportunity to maybe win the point cross-court. Because if you hit a cross-court, then you're opening up an angle for your opponent to go behind you, and that's not good unless you set it up really well. But honestly, I really didn't care about cat and mouse because I had so much work to do on just the first 4 shots that scenario of cat and mouse seemed pretty unlikely to be something that would make a difference in my games. At the end of the session, we played a practice game, and I somehow managed to win 12-10, 12-10. So yeah, maybe there was a chance for me. And after this first drilling session, I had another one with Blaine a couple days later, and then the day before the tournament, I drilled with my other friend, Matt Mead. And honestly, I was feeling pretty good. I was hitting the ball well, my serves were going deep, my returns were going deep, the thirds were fine, fourths were fine. So, yeah, I was ready for this tournament. Before we get into the day of the tournament, I want to share something I think is really awesome. In the comment section, I've noticed that you guys are sharing your experiences of what has helped you solve some of the problems in my videos and helping each other out by answering each other's questions. I love this. Let's make this the most supportive community of pickleball players trying to reach their potential. And if you want to be part of this, subscribe to the channel, of course, but also subscribe to the newsletter. The newsletter is where I'm going to share stuff like full game footage, answers to frequently asked questions. I'll get input from you guys on what kind of videos to make, and we'll sort of develop this whole thing together. If you want to be sort of like in the inner circle of this whole experiment, yeah, tap in. The link to subscribe is in the description of the video. Yeah, let's go. I pulled up to the tournament the day of, and my buddy Matt was kind enough to get there early and warm up with me. After we hit for a bit, I shared my game plan with him. Tell me if this makes sense. I'm gonna hit deep serves and deep returns to their weaker side, and then I'm just gonna try to strike my thirds and stick my fourths. And that's really it. I think that's all I have room in my brain to focus on. So that's what I focused on in our warm-up. We played a few of the single server drills, rally scoring drills, and skipped cat and mouse because honestly, it's not gonna happen that much in the games. And I was feeling pretty good. I'm honestly feeling pretty good. I just wanna play loose today. I just got my court assignment. Let's go. To qualify, I'd have to win 4 matches. My first round match, if I won that, I'd play one of the top seeds, I think the 2nd seed in the draw. If I beat him, then I would play either Lucas, my friend, or the player that Lucas faced. And then if I won that, I would play Blaine, my friend, or whoever won from his section of the draw. They literally put the whole group chat into the same section of the draw. The first match went well. I played really clean. I stuck to my game plan and it worked. I was winning a lot of points off of missed or weak returns. I noticed that my opponent actually had a weaker forehand than a backhand, so I just targeted that basically the entire game, and it worked. This helped me realize that if getting to 4-5 in doubles is about getting to the kitchen, I think getting to 4-5 in singles is probably being able to hit deep serves and deep returns and identify which side is weaker for your opponent. Because you're gonna be getting so many errors off of returns and thirds that you'll just have so much of an advantage over your opponent if you're able to do that and everything else is close to the same. So I was really happy about that. That was my first pro tournament win, and I was feeling good and loose. My second round opponent withdrew, so I was through to the 3rd round. And in the 3rd round, I would play either Lucas or this guy Fook, who was a really nasty tennis player as well. And they battled. They had a long 3-game match, and Fook ended up pulling it out, so I would have to play him, which was kind of a relief because I don't really like playing my friend. I went to play, and focusing on the same game plan: deep serve, deep return, strike the 3rd, stick the 4th, and I was up 6-4 in the first game, and then something just fell apart, and I lost 11-6, 11-2. Mainly what happened is Fook realized that my backhands weren't strong that day. So he was hitting deep serves and deep returns to my backhand. And so when he was serving, my returns were going short and he was passing me a lot. And I started trying to hit harder on the return, causing some errors. But I knew if I just kept hitting it short, he was just gonna keep passing me. At this level, they're not making errors, so they're just passing me. And then on the returns, he was hitting great returns, really deep. And so when I was trying to drive those backhands, they were going way too high. And he was really sticking those forests, and I just couldn't get into those points. So I knew going into the second game that what I should do is hit drops off my backhand side, but I just hadn't practiced it. So I didn't have it in me. I couldn't rely on it. I didn't have muscle memory. I think that's what you expect when you only played a few days of singles. If I really wanted to get better at singles, this was really useful to learn because it's something I would focus on a lot when I was drilling. He actually ended up winning his next 2 matches and qualifying for the main draw. He's playing Tyson McGuffin. So yeah, let's go Fook. So putting this all together, my perspective on singles is this. If you want to be good at singles, you have to train it separate from doubles. It's a completely different sport. I was beating a lot of my really good doubles friends in singles without really trying, and I thought I was good at singles. But then once you play players that play singles, you realize you're really bad at singles. The most important shots in singles are the serve and return, and so you really need to spend a lot of time dialing those shots. And that can get you pretty far, I think 4-5 to 5-0. The second most important shots are the 3rd and 4th, and that's what you need to be competitive at 5-0 and 5-0 plus. Your thirds need to be consistent, they need to be unattackable, you need to be neutralizing that point like a decent amount of the time. And then the fourths, you can't be giving up your advantage. You need to keep them back, put away the ball when you have the opportunity to, etc. I was just really weak on sticking that fourth. I was afraid to miss it. I was hitting it like it was doubles. And then from there, like cat and mouse might come into play, but honestly, it's not really that big of a factor. Like it comes into play at the very highest levels of pro, but it's more likely than not, people aren't dropping their thirds. They're trying to hit passes. So it's worth practicing, but I think a distant priority from getting your serve and return dialed, and then your thirds and fourth dialed. So if I were really training to make a push on pro singles, what I would do is spend most of my core time doing this single serving drill. I really like it because it gets you pretty reliably the serve in the third if you're serving, and the return in the fourth if you're returning. It's pretty different than doubles, because in doubles, if you want to work on your drop, you really need to isolate it, because if you're playing rec, you might not hit a drop for, I don't know, like 8 points. Like if your teammate's hitting the drops and then maybe your opponent's serving a lot, you're just not gonna get that many reps on it. But in singles, you get a lot of reps. Like each point, you're getting a good number of reps on the most important shots. So in a way, it's like way simpler to train for singles, because you can super isolate this one drill and just in your mind know what you're focusing on. I'm focusing on deep serve, deep return, striking my third, sticking my fourth, that kind of thing. This was a great experience. I do not know whether I'll play another singles tournament, but I'm glad I played this one. Yeah, if you're a singles guy or girl, comment what I should have done differently in my training leading up to the tournament. Or share what's the thing that made the biggest difference in your game. And if you haven't joined the community yet, subscribe to the channel and join the newsletter. A lot of the work behind the scenes for this channel is gonna happen there. And so if you want a voice in what videos get made, if you want your questions answered, that's where it's all gonna happen. As always, thanks for watching and good luck out there.